Well, how about, so recordings in progress. Uh, Vince, could you send me those by email and I'll reply by email?
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, send you the numbers or
Yeah,
the
your question numbers.
oh, okay.
Okay. So we'll work today only on the project.
Okay.
Okay. So here is a so we might have def check rows, and we could pass it the board. So the way that I would do it is to initialize a Boolean that says, did you win? So let's say is win equals false. Okay. So this isn't exactly going to be bingo. Well, first of all, it's 3 by 3, and also I'm not including a free space. Okay. But actually, I guess I kind of am. Forget about that. So it's just 3 by 3. So what we want to do is we're checking rows, right? So let's make an outer loop that will go through the rows. So for row in range, and it's a 3 by 3. Okay. So next, let's check to see, let's enumerate all the columns. Okay. All right. So let's think about this. So I want to check to see if everything. Okay, so I'm going to make a change here. I'm going to erase all of this. And I'm going to cheat and copy that. Put it over here. See, I'm cheating. And let's see, erase that and redraw it. And I'm going to say I better put this back up here, is win equals false. That just needs to be there so that for scoping. So is win, let's make that true. So this is really where we're initializing it. I'm putting it here only so that I can get at it down here outside the loops, because I'm going to do a return of is win. All right, so if the boards, and it's going to be the first one is going to be the column, and the second one is going to be the row, and the third one is going to be I don't know, what did I called it? I don't remember what I called it. I think I called it called. Equals false. Then it's not a winner. So it'll be, you'll have to say Somehow I got back on the eraser. So is when equals false, and break. And I've really screwed this up, everybody. So let me, I'm going to rewrite it. And also, I probably could have done it better because I'm thinking on my feet here. Actually, it's not my feet that I'm thinking on, and the thing I'm thinking on hurts. So, okay, let's do it again. So the idea behind this function is to check each row. All right, so for the row in range, that was correct. That was fine. And now we're going to have a loop for every column. Equals true. Okay. Now for column in range of 3 and if the board, the outer one is the columns, the inner one is the rows, and then it's the dictionary. If that's false, then is when is false. And then we can go back out here. So if is when is still true, return true. Okay, and then out here, return false. There, that's better. So let's examine this code. Let's try row 1. Let's say row 1 is a loser, okay? So, sorry, not row 1, row 0. So for row in range, the first value is 0. Is a win gets set to true. For column in range of 3, so if 0, 0 called is false, let's say it was true. So it's true, so it doesn't do this. So column becomes 1. If board 1, 0 called is false, let's say that's also true. So it's the very last one that was the loser, column 2. So for, okay, so col becomes 2. So if 2, 0 called is false, well, yes, it is false because that was the one that's a loser. And then the for loop is over because we've done all the entries. Then say, if is a win is still true, well, it's not still true. So we keep going. All right, so let's say row 1 was a winner. Row 0 was a winner, sorry. So if row 0 is a winner, we would never execute this. So when this for loop is over, is a win is still true. So you found the win and you return true. You got that, Joe?
I think I followed that, yeah.
Okay, even though I made a muddle of things. How about anybody else?
So for if we were checking columns instead, would it just be the entire function but flipped with the row and column? If that makes sense.
Yes. So the flipping would be here and here.
Okay, but the board column row called equals false would say the same.
Yeah, it's still, the outer list is still columns and the inner list is still rows.
Okay, good to know.
Actually, can I just like make sure I'm like understanding like what
Sure.
you meant? For so for every row that we check, is-win is set to true initially. And then it checks like each column in that row, and if the column in the row is false, then is-win gets set to false. And it just
Right.
like resets the value for each row.
Right. So the key is if it does find a false in the called area, it means it's not a winner. So is a win gets set to false, and it's okay to go through the rest of the inner loop. And when the inner loop is expired, it tests here is if the Boolean, which was set there for each row, in this case, if it's still true after checking a whole row, that means it's a winner.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, Brandon, could you mute? And if you have a question, or actually, it looks like I can mute for you. There you go. So how did I handle the middle free space? And do I need code for it here? So remember back to Wednesday.
I believe you handled that in the create board function.
Yes,
And
I
you
did.
just in that function you just explicitly set board to called equals true.
Exactly, so that it shows up naturally here. No
Okay.
extra provisions is necessary.
Okay. But yeah, thank you for explaining that.
How do returns work? Like, where do you put those? And when are we meant to use it? I know I believe it like brings back from a loop, right? But
Well, returns work inside of functions, and a function can have no returns, in which case it does not return a value, and the function exits whenever it's done. Or it could have more than 0 returns. So if it has more than 0 returns, no matter how you leave the function, you have to return a value. So if it has 1 or more returns, then every path through the code must have a return. So in this case, I can return either from after looking at one row, in which case I would be returning a true for a winner, or after checking the whole board, I'll return false. Because if I had found a winner, I would have returned here. So if I get here at all, there was no winner.
I understand. I got you. Also for the codes like create column and create board, for example, once those are done being made, do we just call upon them to make them and just list them off right after?
Yeah. So you would have a def create board, which we went over on Wednesday. And a good style says, break down a complicated function into simpler functions. So there was also there was a create columns and a create rows. So here the board was set up as a list. And then there was perhaps I don't remember if I did it this way, but this is one way to do it. So you pass in the empty list here and a list with stuff in it would show up there. And then you could do the same thing. I'm pretty sure I did not do it this way the other day. Create columns. Oh, I'm sorry. Why didn't anybody yell at me? That would be columns. And this would be rows. So you pass in the board as it's been built so far, and then it would return the fully functional board. And then over here, yeah, I didn't do it this way, but that's okay. Okay, does that help? I think the best
Yeah,
thing to,
yeah, pretty much.
yeah, the best thing, Sam, is to take a look at the video from Wednesday, which is online.
Okay, for sure. I had some notes from that day. I was just wondering though, after you're done making like the definitions, when you after you have those in the code, do you just list them off to run them?
Yeah, this
Okay.
is over here is example of the of actually using them.
Right. Okay, I understand.
So when you have a function, then calling the function is just foo with its parentheses. Now, if there were parameters here, then you'd have to put parameters here. And in this case, if you had, I'm going to eliminate one of those lines, return of 3, the number 3, then you could n equals foo, and n would get the value 3. So that's, I wanted to cycle back to your first question about how do returns work.
Also just another question.
Yeah.
On the outline on the GitHub, you said at like the end of the outline, you said you want us to print the results. Could you like clarify that a bit? Because like,
Okay.
do you like want us to like only once a game is won? Do you want us to print the state of the board at that time, or do you want
Yeah,
us
well,
to,
correct. Well, the game doesn't end until somebody wins.
yeah. Like I was wondering,
So-
like, if you wanted us to like print a board after every draw, or do you just want us to print a board once it wins?
No, let's take a look at the spec, because I'm old and feeble-minded and I don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see.
It's only mentioned at the top.
Oh, okay, at the top. So where did I mention it?
Outline of the highest level.
Ah, okay, print results. Yep. All right. Let's see. Is there any sample output?
I don't believe there is.
Okay. All right. Well, for each ball, so notice that print results is at the same indent as for each ball. So
Okay, so
the print results comes at the end of the game.
okay.
Now, what would be really cool is if you printed something that looked like this. So let's say it was a win across the first row. So B7 with a star and I19 with a star. Let's say B10 and no star. So you can see that you can see what numbers were called. Let's say B10 was not called, but B13 was called. So anything that's called has a star. This would be ideal if you could do this. So N31, G, let's see, so 30 to 45. So this is 49 and O60. So then you look at this and you say, okay, these are all the tiles that have been, all the balls that have been called. Anything that has an asterisk has been called. And I can look at this and say, okay, the winner was horizontal.
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So if you can print anything you want, as long as I can tell you played the game properly.
Okay.
So for instance, if you didn't want to do it this way, if you didn't want to do it that way, you could list of called balls, and you could just list them here. But you know, so for example, B1, O73, and then you would print also. Now I have to see how the card won. Card, you know, the winning slots or the winning cells. And it would be B1 and well, I'll make it 7 to go along with this. I19, N31, G49, O60. So O6, each of these would have to also appear up there. And these two lists together would prove to me that you played the game properly.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yep.
this way is a little more straightforward, and this way is you get extra street cred.
All right. Thank you.
Say, Mary, would you like to turn your camera off?
Is my camera supposed to be off?
Oh, it could be off if you want it to be, because you're kind of nodding out there.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I took sleep meds like 2:30 this morning and they haven't worn off yet.
I was thinking maybe they were just kicking in.
That might also be true.
Uh, So whatever you feel comfortable with. Okay, we're coming up on the end of this class session. Is there anyone who has questions about the project? Joe M., I answered you in the chat. I don't know if you saw.
So, sir, how do I con how do I do my questions via email? I was asking earlier.
Okay,
How will we do this? Like,
okay, you know how to send me an email, right?
yeah.
So put the question numbers in the email and send it to me, and then I will reply with answers.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
welcome. Hey, Jez, when did you get here?
Hello, Professor. I've been here since the beginning of class. Well, not really. I was making salmon, and I forgot that there was class today, so I took my time cleaning my pots and pans. But I'm here. I was here since 3:02, I think.
Okay, let me adjust the attendance then. Happy
All
to
right.
do
Well,
so.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Turn off the mic now.
Okay, everybody. If you have questions, reach out to me over the weekend by email. Be happy to help. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Right. Have a good day,
Have a nice
Professor.
day.
Thank you,
Hope your
Professor. You're
tailbone
the
gets better.
best. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye. I'm gonna send
Bye-bye.
you the email
Very
momentarily.
good. Very good, Vince.